contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsors around the Caribbean part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsors around the Caribbean part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsors around the Caribbean part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsors around the Caribbean part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsors around the Caribbean part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsors around the Caribbean part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. you've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order.
SportsMax app and YouTube. The third round of the season championship. We're at the third leg of the North American Tour here at Canadian Motorsports Park. Just track here. It's already smooth surface. So far has managed to find himself minutes front as we come to and are currently piloting that Mitsubishi Lancer, just one of our custom built touring cars. We have the Chevy Cruze as well as the Focus and the Toyota Corolla. What we've come to know, we have the free practice session, which is wrapping up. There's still 2 minutes left before we head into our qualifying session. And second of which will be a reverse grid of the top 12 finishers of the first race.
Mic check. 1 3 1 3. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check.
And
Good.
Sorry, go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, no, I'm just making my late introduction. You know, this is what happens when you're tardy to the affair. You start tripping over each other. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen, but good evening, one and all. It is such a pleasure to be back here on another Friday Caribbean Touring Car Challenge. And it's looking hot at the top as per usual. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chad Dillon, joining Mr. Cale Vaden Roper, who I hope has kept you entertained thus far. And yeah,
They
we're just
haven't needed me to try to. We've been watching drivers try to get to terms with this new track here, the third round of our North American tour here at Canadian Motorsport Circuit. And I mean, we've seen cars spinning in the gravel cars upside down, Chad. So no shortage of action here tonight at all.
upside down. I think that's a new one. I didn't know people got front wheel drive cars to flip.
Yep.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, well, I'm looking at the track layout and it looks like a very high speed circuit. So I do imagine chaos and carnage can ensue very, very quickly. I'm seeing no super heavy braking zone. Maybe that turn 5 complex would be a super heavy braking zone, but outside of that, it just looks like lots of flat out, um, long straights, flat out action, and high speed cornering.
Yep, and that's usually a very good recipe. I won't say perfect, but quite a very good recipe when for greatness and action when you put that together with these Caribbean touring cars. You know, these cars love ringing and banging off the rev limiter. You know, they stay full throttle for like, I think more than 60% of this lap, perhaps even more. So we're definitely going to be seeing, you know, drivers fighting for positions here, not wanting to leave an inch for their fellow drivers around them to take and get an advantage, especially heading into turn one. I think it's flat and very wide heading from turn one into turn two. So yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing some excellent driving action here tonight. So, as I have said maybe about 50 times now, we are on the third leg of our North American tour here at Canadian Motorsports Circuit. And having driven this circuit before, well, quite a while ago, but you're absolutely right, Chad. Very high speed, very flowing circuit, very few braking zones. So it's going to be about bravery tonight. That's definitely what's gonna mean the difference between finishing first and being the first loser.
Absolutely, yep. And it's looking like it's gonna be about carrying all of the speed, which I guess ties into the bravery, because the brave tend to be the ones that can just chuck a car in and have the faith to know it sticks. So we'll see lots of that this evening. And I'm looking at the live timing sheets here, Kale, and what I'm seeing perplexes me a little bit. I'm not sure if this is a difference in track conditions. It does look quite overcast at the moment. I'm not sure what the grip levels actually are, but the quickest time done all week looks to be about a second faster than we're seeing here in the live timing. So that gives me pause as to what these drivers are doing. We know we have some sandbaggers in the bunch, but let's see when we get into the quali session, which we're having the drivers head out on track now to get started in this quali session, if that comes to fruition, or maybe it is just the ambient temperature being that much lower, causing the drivers to not have the same level of grip that they've had for most of the week. But I guess in about 15 minutes we will know for sure, as the drivers are all pounding out ahead of the first set of flying laps. And yeah, that time was set by Jaden Harrison. It was a 1:23.1. So let's see if he still has that kind of pace. And I don't know if it was a fluke lap. I mean, I see where he did 1:23s in another vehicle, but at the same time.
I'm sorry to cut you, Chad, but I'm not quite hearing you so well. And ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. We're testing out a few new technical installments, so we're just working out the kinks. Chad, mic test, if I can hear you any better.
Mic check.
Much better. Thanks. You were saying.
Right. Yeah. No. So I'm just looking at the fact that Jaden Harrison is capable of going 1 second quicker, or has done over the course of the week, and wondering if it was one of those laps that everything just kind of comes together perfectly and we may not see it replicated, or if it's just the usual sandbagging intent by these drivers. But you know, let's see how it all unfolds for the next 30 minutes and change, as we have some of the drivers now on their flying laps. I am seeing we're on board with Roger Robinson.
That's right. And we can see him there using up all of the track and then some, heading through turn one. Then it's down the hill, going very well. I've seen the drivers go very wide. Roger keeping it quite neat and tidy there through turn two. Finds himself all the way to the left end. Spot your braking marker, tuck it in for the right hander. This right hander goes on for quite some time. Reminiscent of a few corners at I believe the Hungaroring. Now it's down another hill, a left-hander, pedal flat to the floor, then into one of the very few braking zones, the turn 5 and 6 complex, if you can call them a braking zone. Is a braking zone, you spend barely any time on the brake. Then it's a long straight, a very twisty, windy up and down straight, but a straight nonetheless. The back straight, which leads us into the final complex of corners. It's going to be a right-hander and then a left-hander. Here's Rahe going under the Canadian tire barrier. Then it's the right-hander here. No brakes. You can see the brake lights barely even coming on there. Then flick it back into the right-hander for your run to the line. And
I'm looking at the timing sheets, Kayla. This is a very interesting session because I am seeing purple sectors up and down the sheet. It seems these drivers are absolutely trading times at the moment. These drivers all looking at the gaps. Roger Robinson already into the 1:23s, which is quicker than what we saw in the free practice session preceding the qualifying session. So Yeah, already we're seeing drivers dipping down to that mark. Will we see a 1:23.1 once more? Let's find out. Roger Robinson already matching himself in the first sector, up a couple of tenths there, it seems, after sector one, per fastest of all in that sector. So you'll keep an eye on that lap for Roger Robinson, but Tim Stahl having done quite a decent lap his first time around. Yeah, no, Mark Anthony Eaton, Raven Plummer, Jaden Harrison, and Tim Stahl were trading fastest sectors over that first sequence of flying laps. Roger Robinson is doing quite well at the moment. Over two sectors, he is definitely up. So we're about to see him go even quicker than we have seen thus far. It's about a tenth and a half at the moment. Let's see if he keeps it together and what the final result of that lap will be. Running very wide there on the exit of the final corner, lost a couple of tenths there and does not improve. Jaden Harrison, however.
On the other hand, here, while we were watching Roy Robinson, Jaden was busy working in the background, getting a lap in, and that was quite a stonking lap, if I do say so myself. 4 tenths clear of the competition, but it's still early days. It's a 15-minute quality session. We have about 10 minutes left to go, and I mean, the top two drivers within 4 tenths, another 2 tenths, or rather another 4 tenths behind them, and then you have a third place, another 10th, then you have 4th, and another 10th. Hardly anything. It's just tenths on tenths on tenths, but you know, fine margins are what we've come to know and love here, especially with the Caribbean touring cars. And further down the order, we have Eric Ferreira, and we were on board with Kimani Eastman as well. I think the sole driver of the Hyundai Elantra here. But yeah, Jaden, you know, as usual, showing that he is put in his laps, he's got his practice in, he is ready to bring the battle to these drivers here around.
Yeah, no, they didn't leave me much time to guess as to whether or not it was track conditions. They were just absolutely sandbagging and came out storming on the first set of flying laps, and we still have 9 minutes to go in this quali session before we get to the checkered flag. So who's to say that we will not see these drivers finding more improvements? At the moment, I'm not seeing much improvement. Looking at the timing sheets, Eric Ferreira there going up to his personal best, but he's still about 2 seconds off the pace set by one Jaden Harrison, and Jaden looking to be in the driver's seat for this one yet again. I don't think any other driver has come close to matching that time so far, looking at what has been done over the course of the week. But I'm looking at third place here, Kale, and Tim Stahl has made me eat my words far too many times for me to count him out. So let's see in the next 8 minutes what transpires for the remainder of this quali session. And yeah, no, I'm still looking for some improvements out there. But
speaking of improvements, I believe we just saw an improvement from Nicholas Donald moving up to 7th place with a 125.7. So Nicholas, you know, getting his eye in for the circuit. I saw another movement there made. I think that, well, I didn't quite catch it. There was a movement somewhere between 5th, 4th, and a 3rd, but
I believe that was Raven moving up ahead of Eaton by a couple of tenths.
Yeah, and would you look at the gap between herself and Tim Stahl, just about 0.05 of a second. So, like I said, fine margins here, but it's what we've come to expect, Chad. If you're just joining us, I'd like to thank you once more for joining us for the 3rd round of our 3rd season of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. We are here at the Canadian Motorsports Circuit, continuing our North American tour of this series, which took us around the Caribbean in the last season to witness some of the fiercest bumper-to-bumper racing between top talents around the region. The drivers will continue to push themselves to the limit, battling side by side to come out on top in 2 action-packed 20-minute races. The second of which will be a reverse grid of the top 12 finishers in the first. And by the looks of things, Chad, here with about 6 minutes left in the qualifying session, we're still not sure who's going to be in what spots for the first race.
Yeah,
Before we
no,
get to
I'm
the
looking
stats.
at the likes of, well, Senna Somerville is on a lap right now, improving through 2 sectors, so we'll see if he can put himself in the mix of the drivers ahead. That's about 6 tenths down on 7 tenths down on Jaden Harrison through 2 sectors, but he could wind up somewhere in the region of Mark Anthony Eaton, and those two know each other very well from their days of go-karting, so it'd be fun to reignite. It would be fun to reignite that rivalry. He does improve to about 2 tenths adrift of Mark Anthony Eaton, so there seems to be a battle heating up there between Eaton and Somerville, unless Eaton still has some pace in hand that he can lay down on the circuit. But I'm looking at Jaden Harrison, who, since doing that lap, has just been sat in the pits, feeling as though he has done enough to hold on to pole, or that's what it seems to be the case at the moment. Uh,
Perhaps he's just in the pits, brushing off any gravel that any rock chips he may have gotten, and giving the ceramic here team a little chance to pretty up the car before he heads back out for another flyer. Ceramic here, or brand new gold tier sponsor. You can see them here taking very good care of Jaden's Toyota Corolla here. As a matter of fact, every single one of these cars are being touched up by ceramic here, so I don't think they'll have anything to worry about in the case of any accidents or bumps or brushes with the competition. But
yeah,
you don't get as we usually say, you don't get points for qualifying. So it's usually about what happens in the race, and James is gonna have to get himself out of the pits and back onto the racetrack. But perhaps when he feels he's being threatened, and here's Ray Robinson coming across the start-finish line, perfect first sector, but it's about a second slower across the last 2 sectors, so just not able to wrap it up as Jaden is, it seems, at this point in time. But it's just about half a second, 4 tenths between them currently, and Tim Stahl here closing the gap as we speak. Just came across the line. That wasn't quite such a respected lap for him. He's going to be going again. He has a couple more tries to get it right. So,
yeah, no, I'm still looking at the timing sheets, and it just seems, I think Jaden Harrison thinks he's very comfortable at the moment. That 4.5 tenths to second position looking insurmountable at this point. I see Ray Robinson heading onto another lap at the moment. He did not improve in the first. Well, it's an improvement, but not the best improvement he has been able to manage in that sector. So we see if he can actually string it together for the duration of this lap. And it seems that middle sector is where Jaden Harrison has found some time that these drivers are struggling to find, because the other 2 sectors seem very well matched by the other drivers around, and Tim Stahl behind is also improving. So if Roger Robinson does not get a good lap in soon, he could come under fire from the likes of Tim Stahl, who through 2 sectors is improving enough that it could be of threat to Roger Robinson. Well, maybe not, because through the first 2 sectors, it looks less hot than it did on the timing sheet. The timing sheet is playing tricks on me at the moment, but and getting it very wrong there in the final sector, Tim Stahl. So not quite what I thought was going to come together there for that particular driver. But yeah, no, it looks like Jade knew that he was comfortably ahead of the pack, and I think he sat in the pits knowing full well that he has more pace in hand, waiting to see if he will be matched before going out to try and, extend that advantage. But right now, it's looking like Jaden's pole once again, and that's a very familiar phrase these days, especially in the Caribbean touring cars. Jaden Harrison at the top of the timing sheets, and Roger Robinson always just a smidge behind, trying to keep that banter between the 2 of them going. It's always so fun to listen to the 2 of them in the practice sessions when they're going at each other. And right now, Roger Robinson, Kale, is on a lap through the first two sectors. It was looking quite promising. That looked a little wide there in the final corner, and that did invalidate that lap. Very unfortunate there. Was that the commentator's curse coming into effect the second we switched?
If I hadn't switched to him, if I hadn't switched the camera to him, I'm sure he would have been 3 seconds faster, Chad. But that being said about Jaden, I think we can officially pass the mantle to him for Mr. Sandbagger. He's done one lap and has sat the rest of the quality session in the pits. That's sandbagging behavior if I've ever seen it. He has stolen that namesake from Ray Robinson, who is in P2 and almost languishing here, struggling to get another clean lap in. Tim Stahl is, I think, on his final lap now. He won't have another chance with 30 seconds left. With a 1:24.0 on the clock, he needs to gain at least 2/10 to move up a position. Raven Plummer, half a tenth behind Tim. She's rounding out the final corner here, and this is going to be her last chance as well. 10 seconds left on the clock coming across the line. No improvement, but they'll have their chance to do it. Mark Anthony following suit through, but I don't think he's going to be crossing the line in time. And yep, there he goes, diving into the pits, calling it quits there for his quality session. P5 for him. Senna Somerville managed to get across the line before the end of the session, and will have one more chance to improve his time heading to the turn 5-6 complex there. It's 2 corners, but
Tim Stahl is improving, Kale. Through 2 sectors, he's gone green in purple in sector 1, green in sector 2. Can he keep it together through the final sector to unseat Roger Robinson for P2, or maybe even take the fight to Jaden Harrison for pole? Like I said, this man knows how to make me eat my words. What does he do? He moved up to P2, about a 10.5 over Roger Robinson, putting himself just that much closer to Jaden Harrison. But Jaden still on pole by 0.4 of a second. Well, that's now 0.3 of a second, my apologies, over Tim Stahl, who slots himself right there in between Roger Robinson and Jaden Harrison. Roger Robinson not able to put it all together in the final stages of the game, so he will have to settle for that P3 starting spot. I do believe he has already completed his qualifying, so despite the improvements, that lap will not count, I don't think. So yeah, Jaden Harrison once again on pole position, and you know, he and Tim Stahl, but that lap does count from Roger Robinson, and Roger gets within a couple of hundredths of
He left it right to the very last moment. I don't know how he did it, but it's 400ths of a second between himself and the man on pole position, but it's not enough. Jaden Harrison will be starting on pole position. Roger Robinson, try as he might, will have to settle for P2. That was a stellar lap from Stahl, but he was overthrown right at the last moment, and it will have to settle for P3. Raven Plummer seems to be a little bit out of it here. A little bit of drift, about 0.3 adrift from the top 3 guys, and will be starting in P4. Mark Anthony Eaton, another 0.3 to the driver ahead, starts in P5. P6 belongs to Senna Somerville with a 1:24.5. Nicholas Donald will be starting in P7 with a 1:25.0, and then we can see quite a gap here. 0.8 behind is Eric Ferreira, starting in P8. P9 is Arenas, and we have in P10 Kimani Eastman. It seems as though this Hyundai just doesn't seem to be up to it, because we know Kimani is a very fast driver. Perhaps just trying something new here this time around here at Canadian Motorsport Circuit. But
yeah, no, the second I looked at the layout of this track, the first thought I had was if it's not the Corolla or the Chevy Cruze, you're gonna be in trouble. And looking up and down the timing sheets, it would seem as though that Corolla paying dividends at the top there, and I am not sure. Let's see what the cars are. Roger Robinson in P2 is in a Ford Focus. So yeah, if it's not American or the Toyota Corolla, you'd likely be in trouble around here. Actually, don't see any Chevy Cruises up and down the order. So it seems the Focus was the preferred American car for this particular event. But the other two drivers in the top three, both in the Corolla and then P4 and 5, are using the Mitsubishi Lancer. So clearly there's some pace out there for a variety of these cars, but that Corolla looks to have it all put together. At least. Sorry?
Oh, I was going to say, speaking of trouble, we have a brand new safety car which will hopefully be keeping these drivers out of trouble, or if trouble does arise, we'll be seeing this car making an appearance out on track. It looks absolutely beautiful. The Ceramic Gear boys did an excellent job wrapping it in this beautiful protective coating here, and that displays the very nice livery done by the JSRA team. So yeah, brand new safety car, and yeah, I think this one is the most well put together out of all the cars. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, no, it does have a very Chad-esque vibe about it. You know, I'm gonna speak it into being. You know, that could be, you know, Chad's car in the future kind of vibe. It does have that kind of look that I would appreciate in a sports car. Definitely looking quite clean out there. That the new safety car looking quite nice.
Absolutely, Chad, absolutely. But we have about 2 minutes left to go before the start of this session, and so we're going to be taking a short break, and we'll be back for the start of the session.
Contact between these rivals that in the first race had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Gear been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Gear been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're about 30 seconds out from the start of the race. If you are new to our races, of course, the starts are rolling starts. So when the lights go out, the drivers will not go racing immediately. The wonderfully designed safety car there will take the lead of the pack and take us on a formation lap to get the tires into the window and the drivers prepped and ready to go racing, and it also mitigates some of the risk from the launch. So there you see the safety car taking the lead of the field, and it even sounds as pretty as it looks. My goodness, that safety car is something to behold. Definitely prefer it to the BMW that it was before, that Porsche looking like a major upgrade for the JSRA and their safety car. But yeah, the drivers will be led on a formation lap here by the safety car, and of course Steven having to control the power with which he drives that car around this track, because I'm sure that car could obliterate this track at the times there in the 123s, was it? I'd give that Porsche about a 117 around there. maybe even quicker depending on the turning. I digress. We are gonna go racing in a few moments time. When the lap concludes, the drivers will have the speed limit icon on their screens, limiting them to 81 kilometers per hour, and then they will get the red light to indicate that they need to hold stations, followed by the green light to go racing. So in about 2 sectors time, we will be up to racing conditions for the first of 2 races this evening. Again, the second race will be a reverse grid of basically the entire field. Normally it's a top 12, but this is a relatively small grid for CTCCs. We're used to some 16 and 17 car grids in this particular series, but whilst there is strength in numbers, quality over quantity is another way to look at it. And certainly the caliber of drivers out there this evening, are ones to watch, the likes of everybody in the top 5, and not to discount any of the drivers further back. Like you said, Kimani Eastman could normally get himself into the mix, but maybe testing out a different strategy, or trying to find his footing in a different vehicle. But even with that being said, it's still early days. Who's to say, given that some of these races can present with incident, Kimani may not find himself further up the order before all is said and done. Speed limit is up, and the drivers are now limited to 80 kilometers an hour for the next few corners before we get back to green flag conditions. And I am all for the excitement. Tim Stahl there, starting from P2, it seems, because I did think that lap by Roger Robinson was left just a little bit too late. So it seems that lap did not count, and Roger Robinson is starting from P3 behind Tim Stahl. So we have the red light, and we are awaiting the green light to go racing, and it is out, Kayla, and the drivers are away.
And it seems as though Tim Stahl is going to get the jump on Jaden and swoop into P1 for the time being. Right here, they're running wide. Jaden following suit, and I believe that's Raven Plummer trying to gain a little bit of a position there, but nothing doing for her. She's ended up running wide. That moves Rahe up a position. Mark and Eden as well gaining positions off that start. Senna Somerville got a drive through, but is still battling for positions here with Raven Plummer. Raven is trying to stick with Eaton as they had a mighty battle in the last race, but it's all about Mosport now. And they all seem to get through cleanly. Nicholas Donald holding off Eric Ferreira and Kimani Eastman. Luis Arenas losing a couple of positions by heading up into the T5 and 6 complex, and it's carnage. That's Robinson in a colliding with, I think, another driver, and who drops down the order, and that's going to see Tim Stahl leading them away from Eaton, Raven, and Harrison as well involved in that collision.
Yeah, I think so. Jaden, they're tumbling down the order a bit. And has a safety car been called? It looks like the drivers are slowing down. That seemed a massive set of collisions there.
One section. So a safety car has been called. First lap incident. One isolated incident, it seems, into that one heavy braking zone. It's gonna be a collision between Robinson and Harrison, it seems, heading up the hill into that right-hander. Senna Somerville, they're trying to clear his penalty and unfortunately gaining another one. But it's gonna be a slower start to the rest of this race than we expected, but it's going to be a race nonetheless. Tim Stahl, an excellent start for him as he gained a position on Jaden there at the start, and unfortunately his work is becoming undone as he had to get a serve penalty there. So that sees Mark into the lead of this race, and we are back under green flag racing. It's Mark leading from Raven, Mark and Raven inseparable as usual, and Jaden Harrison there in P3 trying to make something happen for himself. Further back we see Kimani Eastman moves up into P4, Luis Arenas into P5. The grid is flipped on its head almost. And let's see if we can get cleanly here through the T5-6 complex. Now, that's Eastman running a little bit wide, allowing Luis Arenas to move through clean as you like around the outside. It's one more position for him using his push to pass installment there, but up at the front we see Eaton trying to hold off Plummer and Harrison. Harrison gaining and gaining on Plummer ahead. It's almost too wide heading into the final sector, but they manage. I think he thought better of it and decides to hold off a little bit. Raven with 5 push to pass installments left, whereas the driver ahead and behind her have one less. But here's Jaden getting a very good exit out of the final corner. He's literally pushing Raven through the first corner, trying to get past without using that push to pass. Also, probably just trying to, you know, it wasn't the wisest area to try and make a move. Thought better of it, and he lives to see another corner to fight with her in. She's on the inside, going slightly defensive, and it almost compromised her exit here through turn 3, but they move on nonetheless. There's Nicholas Donald here gaining on Eric Ferreira. The gap was about half a second, now it's just 2/10. You can see the leaders there going through the T5-6 complex cleanly. And not quite able to make a move. Let's see what happens here on his back stretch. At the front, we see a change for position between Plummer and Harrison. Harrison using one of his push-to-pass installments, and wow, Chad, it's literally it's popping off here.
It seems to be so, Kale. These drivers giving it their all here in the early stages. I am not sure what I missed there whilst trying to sort out a technical issue, but Tim Stahl there falling well down the order in the few moments that I had to step away. What took place there?
Yeah, it seemed as though Tim picked up a penalty. I think he went into the pits on his own accord and picked up a penalty and had to serve it, and finds himself now way down the order in P6, battling with Eric Ferreira and Ray Robinson. Robinson trying to get through as well, with Ferreira and Stahl ahead of him. And as we know, Robinson sitting here in P8 after that collision with Jaden Harrison on the first lap. Speaking of Harrison, it's mere tenths between himself and Plummer up ahead, but here is a move forming up here for Ray Robinson. Not quite, but Raven Plummer makes use of her push to pass installment and is trying to retake that position on Jaden Harrison. She's gaining. But I'm
not sure if she's gonna be trying to make that move. Maybe she is looking for the opportunity to use Jaden Harrison to try and get past Mark Anthony Eaton. There's a little bit of collision there between Eaton and Harrison, as Harrison is desperately trying to make that move. I think Raven Plummer is pulling a Mark Anthony here and just lying wait in the wings, waiting for the opportunity to arise should Jaden Harrison be able to make that move. And we know Jaden Harrison is not going to be sitting in that slipstream for very long. He's going to be desperate to get by Mark Anthony Eaton, and right now is almost pushing Eaton around the track. We are looking at a move there from Stahl on Eastman, it seems. Tim Stahl there getting back into P5 ahead of Kimani Eastman. But Harrison is right there with the likes of Mark Anthony Eaton. The three look glued together heading through that section of the racetrack, and Harrison just not able to find that extra oomph he needs to take that position away from Mark Anthony Eaton. And it seems both drivers playing very safe with their push to pass installments, knowing full well that they need it for both attack and defense. And Raven Plummer just sitting there in the background, playing coy, waiting for the moment to strike to arise. We shall see if we get anything popping off here between these drivers. Tim Stahl has already caught up to Luis Arenas and maybe looking to make yet another move and could be looking to get back into this fight. But as Harrison here steps out of the slipstream of Mark Anthony Eaton and dives around the outside, Jaden Harrison making it a habit of making moves on the outside and making them stick. That is not the conventional line to make an overtake, ladies and gentlemen, but you'd think so the way Jaden Harrison makes it look at times. What a move there, Cale.
An excellent move from Harrison indeed, Chad. And I was going to say, you know, Harrison making use of those push-to-pass installments, I think he's more comfortable using them up because track position may be what he's after. He knows that he has the pace to keep track position, so if he can just get ahead, he can park the bus if needs be, but knowing his pace, he's going to be stretching that gap even without the push-to-pass uses, and he's already 1 second clear of Mark Anthony Eaton, who's now coming under immense pressure from Plummer behind. This may be the sign she's been waiting for. Jaden has gotten past Mark. He's compromised the Mark for a few corners, and it may be all she has needed. As now she's getting very close to the back of him, and there's the move. Mark with a little bit of a hiccup there into turn 6, and it's gonna be as easy as taking candy from a baby, but it's not over yet as Mark uses that push to pass and is trying to retake that position, but Raven making use of her push to pass in a defensive maneuver. And it's going to be the status quo as
that
it was.
Brilliant racing from those two, Cale. Mark Anthony Eaton just getting it a little bit wrong there, and that's the only opening Raven needed to see to take it. But Mark Anthony Eaton has not given up on that position, has stuck with Raven Plummer after the mistake there in turn 5, but not quite close enough to make anything happen here as they head back onto the start-finish straight. Raven just doing enough to hold on, and it seems Ian might even be falling away here in the second phase of this lap.
Yeah, I think this race is unfolding exactly how Harrison and the Plummer would have wanted. It's a bit going a little bit awry for Tim Stahl, but it has gone awry for him, but he's managed a pretty good damage limitation here, finding himself up into P4. Meanwhile, Kimani Eastman suffers another loss. Luis Arenas getting past him, but it may not be over as yet, as both drivers have their push-to-pass installments still left in the tank. Kimani may try something here on the exit of this turn 5-6 complex. It's funny, the Hyundai looks very racy, very streamlined, but there's just something about the Toyota around this track that just, it makes it so dominant, and that's exactly one of the why we're seeing
Kimani Eastman there actually getting that position back, Cale. He did come out of that corner looking like he got the better drive and does make the move and make it stick, it seems. Can he hold on to that position, or will these two keep trading positions for the rest of this race? We are under the halfway mark, ladies and gentlemen. It has been 11 minutes of non-stop action so far, and looking at Raven Plummer and Mark Anthony, those two drivers still keeping abreast of each other. Luis Arenas and Kimani Eastman Real Ryle continuing their battle for that P5 position, and this is Roger Robinson, Cale, making the move around the outside there.
Wow.
Of Eric Ferreira.
Where did he get that? Grip came out of nowhere. I was expecting him to top back into the slipstream, not at all. And it looks like he's going to be going for doubles here. He's going to be going for seconds in the space of about 2 corners, trying to make something happen there with Luis Arenas, but he manages to cover him off. I was going to say 2 is going to become 4. And it's before I could even say it, it's happened, Chad. It's going to be Kimani Eastman battling between Kimani Eastman fighting to keep that P5 from Arenas, Robinson, and Ferreira behind. We can see him there using that push to pass. He only has 1 left now, but Eastman knows that if he can keep that gap for just a few more laps, he may be able to hold off the 3 drivers behind. They're separated by less than a second between them all. So it's up to whoever is able to get it done at this point in time. But we know Robinson, very quick driver. He was right up there with the likes of Jaden Harrison. A bit of a contact there between himself and Arenas, maybe a little bit too fast for his own good, allowing Eric Ferreira to get back up into this fight now. There is Arenas going a little bit defensive, getting the elbows out, But here's Rahe trying to make it happen on the inside. He is there and he's passed. And Arenas just was not able to hold Rahe off. And it's going to be P6 for him, dipping a few tires into the gravel there. It's going to be another position lost for Arenas from 6th to 8th in about 3 corners. His race seems to be unfolding after quite an excellent start.
Absolutely. It looked like he was going to be in the fight there for P5, but Roger Robinson already pressing Kimani Eastman there for that position, and Roger Robinson steps out of the slipstream, but Kimani Eastman, ever the defensive tactician, manages to cover off that move by just holding a very wide line, which is a very unconventional way to defend, but it seems to have worked. However, Roger Robinson not giving up on that move just yet. The two are neck and neck down the straight, and Roger with the inside line can make that move and comes across to cover it off, as we are looking at Arenas and Ferreira fighting it out as well for P7. But Roger Robinson up ahead does get that position away from Kimani Eastman by the time they get into the next quote-unquote braking zone and making that move stick quite nicely. Roger Robinson also on some damage limitation here, having had an early collision with race leader Jaden Harrison. And looking up and down the order, I'm not sure how much further up these drivers will be able to get Roger Robinson a good 7.5 seconds off of the likes of Tim Stahl, and we know Tim has very good pace around here. Tim, maybe possible for him to catch the likes of Eaton ahead. We'll see. He has about 5.5 minutes in which to make up about 2.8 seconds, and uses a push to pass, maybe feeling the hurry up, as we mentioned, with 5.5 minutes to go. What time are we approaching, Kale?
Desperation zone, Chad. We are just about teetering on the edge of the desperation zone, and I think we're going to see some real desperation here from the likes of Arenas and Ferreira. Arenas is still in striking distance of the Brazilian up ahead, and he's going to try and make something happen here. He has 2 installments of his push to pass to use, and he may wait until it's too late to use them. We've seen it happen before, where the drivers are trying to be strategic, trying to be tactical with the push to pass installments, and end up waiting until it's way too late. But here we can see Ferreira only has 1 left. He's definitely been using them, as has Arenas, and he gets quite a good exit here, gaining on Eric, heading into the first corner. He's on the inside. Will he get the position? Eric gets his elbows out, squeezes him, and he's unable to make it happen right now. But we're heading down the hill now into the left-hander, very similar to the first corner. He may drift a little bit wide, but does Arenas make up any ground on him? Nope. It's gonna be that same around 3/10 between them. That 3/10 now becomes half a second. Let's see what can happen here as they head down into the turn 5-6 complex. Arenas is gaining. He may pull out. He may try to make a move here. Let's see what happens. Late on the brakes, but not late enough. Eric takes a wide line similar to Kimani and manages to hold on to that position. Those curbs there on the inside are absolutely terrible, and caught Arenas off a little bit. He uses the push to pass to get himself back up into the fight, but I don't know. That may have been a few chances to get back into the fight with Ferreira, and they may have been just a little bit wasted there, as now he only has 1 push to pass installment. But he may make a move after all, taking the alternative route here into the final sector. Ferreira running a little bit wide. Is it gonna happen for him? We know he's very good out of the last corner. Here's Lewis trying to make it work, he's scrambling for traction there, but it's nothing doing for him with 3 minutes left to go, Chad. Well into the desperation zone now.
I like the defense there from Ferreira. Not so much closing the door as much as kind of just gently squeezing it closed, you know? It's not a slam, it was just a gentle push to close the door there on the previous lap from Ferreira. But he runs very, very wide there, and that invites Arenas back into this fight. It's almost like Ferreira is teasing Arenas at this point. He just makes these tiny mistakes that makes the gap look very tantalizingly open, and it's just not quite Arenas there just not quite able to get in with a chance of making the move stick. So he just has to hope that one of these mistakes comes when he is in position to strike, or maybe just keep applying the pressure to Arenas and hope that he cracks anytime soon. But all over the back of Ferrero there is Luis Arenas, trying to find, maybe just get him off the line, you know, giving him something to think about, having a look here, a look there, you know, left, right. How do I make this happen? And it seems that Ferrero gets so much deeper into the final few corners just to make sure that he has the line to defend, but that compromises his exit out of the final corner, and this is Arenas' chance to strike. Does he get alongside before Ferrero can once again? Yeah, he just gently edges that door closed once again, and he's just not able to stick a nose in far enough alongside to demand that space. Arenas making sure, Ferrero making sure that he is able to take advantage of that fact, and is running very wide there. And just gets it a little wrong on the exit of that corner, and that's going to cost him a position to Nicholas Donald. A very unfortunate sequence of corners there for Luis Arenas.
And they say silent rivers run deep. I don't think anyone has been running faster than Tim Stahl. He's been quietly gaining on Mark Anthony Eaton. Now it's just a tenth between them. Here's Tim for the overtake. Absolute speed from out of nowhere. We didn't see this gap closing, and here's Tim fighting for a podium position here. And I think, wow, he's used all of his push to pass installments. Mark Anthony has one left with just about 2 laps left to go. He may be holding on to it to retake this position heading into the final moments of this race. But it seems as though as one battle ends, another one begins. It's going to be Eaton v Stahl, the Jamaican versus the German. Here they are heading now onto the, well, they are well into the second to last lap. It's going to be, when the timer elapses, we're going to have one more lap remaining after that. So that's going to be after Jaden Harrison starts the 15th lap. 10 seconds left on the clock. He's just about six seconds into the lead, away from Raven Plummer, who's been holding on to that second place with her fists clenched very tightly, I would imagine. But it doesn't seem as though Mark Anthony Eaton was able to hold on quite as tightly as her. Tim just waltzed in from out of nowhere.
I don't know. I knew he had the pace, but that looked very, very promising from Tim Stahl, just walking Mark Anthony Eaton down, as you said. But Eaton using the final push to pass there, gaining that speed advantage down the back straight here. And that outside line seems to be the favored passing zone. It turns into the inside line for the next corner, and the two drivers make a bit of contact. Eaton there coming off worse for wear, and Tim Stahl is going to maintain that third position. I'm going to leave that one up to the stewards, and I think racing incident, but those drivers going into that very high speed section side by side is usually a recipe for disaster. Tim Stahl coming out the better of the two from that exchange, and manages to hold on to that podium position from pretty much last on the field. A good recovery drive there from Tim Stahl. And as Jaden Harrison is pounding through sector 2 right now, I believe we are on the final lap, so Tim Stahl will seemingly hold on for that P3, and a very good recovery drive from him as the battle here for P6 is heating up once again. Kimani Eastman coming under pressure from Eric Ferrero, with Nicholas Donald trying to join the fight.
Big collision there in the background between Ferreira and Nicholas Donald. I think Kimani Eastman is going to be breathing a sigh of relief, but it's going to be a bigger sigh of relief from Jaden Harrison, probably finally thinking that yes, this race is done now. I can relax and then start the next race. He wins. He takes victory in the first of the two races by some margin, 7 seconds. Raven Plummer held on to P2, and wow, what a drive from Tim Stahl to come back in P3. Mark Anthony Eaton crosses the line shortly, a drift off him in P4. Rahe Robinson, damage limitation from him, a damage limiting drive from him to come back in P5. P6 is going to belong to Kimani Eastman. It's his, it's a running joke now. Kimani Eastman, no matter where he starts, he seems to always finish in P6. Luis Arenas, what could have been? He was up into, I believe, just shy of the podium positions at one point in time, but it comes home in P7. Eric Ferreira battling for this entire race, and gave us some wonderful highlights there. Finishes in P8. Nicholas Donald not finishing, as he had that massive shunt there battling with Ferreira, but he would come across in P9. P10 belongs to Senna Somerville. And wow, child, that was quite a race. We're used to seeing the battle between the Mark Anthonys and the Raven Plumbers of the world, but what an amazing battle between Eastman, Arenas, and Ferreira there. They gave us quite a lot to watch. I'm here at the edge of my seat watching those three drivers go head to head around this very, very fast circuit. It's quite exciting stuff, and I can't wait to see what happens in the second race. If it's going to be anything more like this, and this is exactly what I was talking about, Chad. That was a car. That was a car upside down. It's definitely possible, but Senna's going to continue. Nothing to see here. Just
a casual roll of the vehicle. But that mid-pack fight was a fight to watch, and Kimani Eastman there, doing his best impression of Nico Hulkenberg, who was once nicknamed Mr. P7. We can now nickname Kimani Mr. P6 along those same lines, and showing that despite the fact that he was quite some ways off the pace, managing to bring it home in P6. A good result for him. Up and down the field we go. We were treated to very, very good battles, and the likes of Tim Stallwood should be very pleased with that recovery driver. Jay Robinson only managing to get himself back to P5 following his early race collision. Raven Plummer holding on for P2 there, not quite having the pace of the leader Jaden Harrison, but managing to do just enough to keep herself there in the second spot. Tim Stahl taking that position away from Mark Anthony Eaton there to come home in third. Poor Mark Anthony Eaton seemed to be a sitting duck. Not sure if that was his tires just not having any life left, because I do believe he was on pace with Raven Plummer, but not able to hold on there in the dying stages of the race.
Well, it was definitely an exciting race, and we'll have the second race coming in just a few moments' time.
You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting the lights here in the second race, and again the safety car will take us on the formation lap. We're getting an excellent look at our brand new safety car decorated in the Ceramic Hair logo. We always like to shout out our first gold sponsor there, Ceramic Hair, as we are on the formation lap for race number 2. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a reverse grid of the first race. The likes of Eric Ferrer and Senna Somerville starting on pole position here, as he was the last classified finisher. Unfortunate for Nicholas Donald, as he did not finish that race. He will start from last position, having had that major accident there in the final few corners of the first race. That does not classify him as a finisher and puts him well out of position. Donald starting down there in last place. So losing out on a great opportunity there to try and score some points in the second race. But in the second race scale, it's all about choosing your moments wisely. The drivers ahead are not necessarily on the same kind of pace that the drivers that start further down the order are, and both drivers have to play it smart in terms of making these moves and where to make them and how to make them stick without the risk of incident. So we will see how that all unfolds as we are heading through the second sector on the formation lap. Looking at guys like Himani Eastman, we know he can put on a defense if he needs to, and I think one person that may prove very difficult to overtake is Mr. Senna Somerville, sitting up there on pole position. You're gonna have a hard time trying to get by him. Memory goes back to that race in the, I think that was the Caribbean Tour, in Venezuela. I think that track was where he managed to stave off Raven Plummer for almost the entire race to hold on to that victory, and then lost it in the final corner just by running a smidge wide. So he can defend and defend quite well. This is his opportunity to claw back some points, having finished in last in the first race. But we do have the speed limit up on screen now as the drivers are going through the final few corners. So once again, the light will go red to indicate the drivers need to hold station, and then we will get green flags racing in a few moments time. Who is gonna be the driver to get the jump here, Cale?
Very quickly, Chad, if you're just joining, ladies and gentlemen, we're here in season 3 of the CTCC Championship, the North American Tour here at Canadian Motorsports Park for the for the reverse grid. We have green lights and it's a good getaway for Senna Somerville, but Eric Ferreira is there on the outside trying to make it happen for himself. Behind him we see 2 wide, 3 wide with Mark-Anthony Eaton and Kimani Eastman. No, it's just 2 wide. We have Rahe Robinson as well trying to get in the mix, practically pushing Eastman around the corner here. But it's going to be Senna Somerville taking back that lead from Eric Ferreira. They're running a little bit wide. Luis Arenas gains a position, tries to make another position on the Ferreira heading into the 3rd corner. Eastman gaining a position as well. Robinson trying to follow suit on the outside. We're now heading through into turn 4, then down the hill, and then up the hill again into turn 5. Senna has quite the lead here, but it's going to be 2 wide between Eastman and Eaton here, heading into the turn 5-6 complex. There's Eaton running a little bit wide. There's a car on 2 wheels. A bit of carnage there, as we pretty much expected. But the majority of the drivers get away unscathed. Rahe Robinson once again involved in a collision here on the first lap. And it's going to be a safety car. It's lightning struck twice in the same place for Robinson there, unfortunately for him. But he's going to have it all to do again.
He is really just not having the best of luck out there around this circuit. And we've seen this happen to him before, where, you know, he has the pace, but just cannot see to avoid the carnage that ensues around this track. And that incident he was almost a passenger as Kimani Eastman just got it wrong on the inside curb there, bouncing the car and almost rolling it, as we saw Senna Somerville do on the cooldown lap the previous race. And in trying to keep the car on all 4 tires, you know, Kimani Eastman had to counter steer there to keep the car from rolling, and in doing so counter steered right into Rahe Robinson, and that saw his race unravel. So these drivers are going to have it all to do again. And the likes of Senna Somerville, the first time around, he had Eric Ferreira and Luis Arenas as company. Now he has the wolf pack of Mark-Anthony Eaton, Raven Plummer, Jaden Harrison, and Tim Stahl, who will all be desperate to take those positions off of each other and off of Senna Somerville. So we're about to get green flags racing again, and I think that Senna Somerville bolting immediately, Mark-Anthony Eaton trying to keep pace just to make sure that he also does not fall into the trap of the drivers behind that are going to be battling. Rahe Robinson there trying to make a move around the outside of Jaden Harrison. Does seem to have gotten that move done, and there's a little bit of contact there between the 2 of them. Jaden Harrison getting his elbows out trying to defend that line. Rahe Robinson returning the favor, it seems, there, pushing himself wide there, trying to keep Jaden Harrison from taking that position back, and that puts Jaden Harrison under pressure from, I believe that's Nicholas Donald alongside him. Nicholas Donald backing out there, thinking better. Oh no, that's Tim Stahl behind Jaden Harrison, my apologies. Tim Stahl backing out, and there's some
more
contact
there between Robinson and Plummer. Plummer there was an innocent bystander in that collision there. I think Robinson just sticking a nose where it should not have been, but we are still green flag racing, unfortunately, for Plummer there, coming off worse for wear. And I think, I don't know, the stewards are definitely gonna have to take a look at that move there in the 2nd sector. But here is Tim Stahl coming under pressure from Somerville. Somerville, who was leading this race, conceded positions to Eaton and Harrison up ahead. Harrison trying to to regain the lead once again for the 2nd time in a row from Mark-Anthony Eaton, and he may have it done in a couple laps time. All drivers seem to still have their push-to-pass installments left, so this race is not yet, it hasn't even started as yet, to be completely honest. We still have loads of tactics and strategies that the drivers will be employing, specifically with the push-to-pass installments, and we're going to see how that unfolds in a few moments' time.
Yeah, and Jaden Harrison there thinking, can I make the move the same place I did the previous lap, trying to, keep ahead of Tim Stall. Jaden has to be looking in his mirrors as much as he is on the attack here with Mark Anthony Eaton. Tim Stall is right there waiting for the opportunity to pounce, and here come the push to passes. Harrison, Somerville, and Eastman all using an installment there. Harrison trying to take the fight to Mark Anthony Eaton, and Somerville trying to take the fight to Tim Stall. Both used a push to pass there. Senna Somerville retaking that position from Tim Stall to try and get back into this fight up ahead. But Harrison not quite able to take advantage on Mark Anthony Eaton yet. Eaton showing good pace here in the early stages to manage to stay ahead of the fight.
And here's Tim Stall going down the inside on Somerville. Somerville slams that door shut, and he's going to have to try around another side. Senna, who is racing in real life and has met Tim Stall in person. So now that Stall has put a face to the name, it may be a little bit personal here between Stall and Somerville. So we have another little rivalry brewing here, but it's not over from Stall. He's still well within the gap to bring the battle to Somerville. He moves down the inside, heading into the turn 5-6 complex, and I think that looked a little bit too easy for Stall there, and perhaps Somerville just getting a little bit wrong there, heading into that section of corners. But here Somerville still trying to get back at him. Both drivers making use of their push-to-pass installments. Harrison putting Eaton under pressure. We see him there using his push-to-pass installment. Up and down the order, we see the drivers pressing that magic button that unlocks and some extra horsepower for them, particularly heading down this back straight here. And that's why Eaton still has this position, because I think personally I think Harrison would have had that move done a little bit of a while ago if it weren't for the implementation of the push to pass there, used defensively by Eaton, and it is being used in an attacking maneuver here from Somerville, but he was unable to retake that position from Stall managing to hold him off for another couple of laps. But I think Somerville will definitely be trying once again.
I know Somerville looking quite racy here in the second race. Didn't have a chance to showcase his pace in the first race, having been a couple of laps down, but is showing very good pace here, keeping up with Tim Stall, and not just keeping up, but putting some pressure on Tim Stall here in the early stages of this race. The gap just under 2.5 tenths. Somerville trying his hardest to keep that pressure on Stall. Harrison, meanwhile, still on the hunt for Mark Anthony Eaton. This is another driver that we know can defend like his life depends on it. Eaton, no stranger to this situation, and will be able to hold on as long as his tires do. We saw in the first race that his tires started to go off, and then he ended up being just a sitting duck for his rivals around him. So if he is managing to keep the life in the tires, and it should be to his advantage this time, as he is in the clean air, so he does not have to contend with all of the turbulent air coming off of the cars ahead. So that should help in keeping his tires alive just a little bit longer. Jaden Harrison, not caring about that turbulent air, has been right on the rear wing of Mark Anthony Eaton for almost the entirety of this race, but is not quite close enough to make a move happen at the moment. The battle for the lead has been the battle to watch all race long. Harrison right there just waiting for his opportunity to strike, and both drivers playing it very safe with their push to passes at the moment. Both drivers with 4 installments left, making sure that they have it at their advantage to attack and defend. Who will be caught napping in this fight for the lead of the race?
Yeah, Mark left it to the very end there. He had one push to pass use left, and it was not enough to keep Stall behind. He may have to make use of these installments a little bit more quickly if he wants to keep position and win this race. We see Harrison here using his push to pass to try and get past, and he is going down the inside. We know that the outside is usually the preferred line, but this is Jaden Harrison we're talking about. He took that position, and he, I think, now is comfortably into the lead of this race, at least for now. Eaton is definitely going to try his best to come back. I don't think those tires have gone. Not yet. There's more in it for Eaton. Speaking of battling here, Somerville closing down the gap to Tim Stahl. Tim just a few meters away. Just about half a second the gap between them. And we're going to be watching these gaps, particularly the gap between Eaton and Harrison, as I really want to see that gap remain small right up until the end of the race, where Eaton is able to make use of those push
at Roger Robinson trying to make a move on Luis Arenas somewhere down the order there, and the two are exchanging that position at the moment. Robinson on the outside there, trying to make it stick on as the outside turns to the inside. Does he get that move done? Arenas has to concede there. Roger Robinson almost bullying his way past through that corner. Arenas may try to come back, and is that Eric Ferreira also getting past in the process? Roger Robinson gaining a couple of positions very quickly there, as Luis Arenas not quite getting it very wrong there, it seems, tumbling down the order.
And here's Eaton here trying to make it happen, Landon Norris style, taking to the grass here, but Jaden there absolutely nailed that door shut. He tried to go around the outside, and when the outside started to look more like a wall rather than a track, he still went to the outside, taking to the grass. This is the level of, I don't know, man, the extent that the drivers will go to try and make a move work. I saw Eaton press that push to pass button and was gaining. He tried to move to the right, no space. He tried to move to the left, no space, but still tried to make it work. And Harrison just saying, nope, try again. And I think that's going to be the theme of the rest of this race, particularly for Eaton. He has his work cut out. He's going to see a few more nope, try agains, but it's all in the name of good racing fun here, as you see them going through the turn 5-6 complex. This is where, well, this is a scene of many a collision, many an accident, but keeping it clean thus far. These two drivers are clean enough. The amount of grass that will be on the undercarriage of Eaton's car, but it shouldn't be a problem at all for the Ceramic here boys to take care of after this race. But right now, this is the closest gap, the closest fight here between Eaton and Harrison.
Yeah, no, I was wondering if Harrison there was feeling the effects of following Eaton so closely for pretty much half the race. You know, the tires may have either overheated a bit, or I'm not sure if Harrison made a mistake there to allow Eaton to come back at him for that brief moment. But the gap now has extended to about 7/10 of a second, 8/10 now. So Harrison maybe, you know, just trying to keep a little bit of life in the tires, dialed it back a bit to cool them off, and that allowed Eaton to try and take that fight to Harrison. However, Jaden now seeming to get his wits back about him and keep that position comfortably. We're looking at Luis Arenas after that crazy incident whilst he was battling with Roger Robinson, who is now taking Mr. P6's P6 away.
I don't think Mr. P6 is gonna like that.
Yeah, no, there's still time left for him to get it back some other way. However, Roger Robinson at the moment claiming P6 from Kimani Eastman. Kimani Eastman may have to settle for Nico Hulkenberg's Mr. P7 in this particular race, unless he has something up his sleeve to try and come back at Roger Robinson. Yeah, no, he's actually not losing too much ground to Roger in the early stages there. Raven Plummer now finally getting back towards some of the action, finding Luis Arenas there and trying to take that position away from Arenas. Playing it a little safer than I expected, or maybe just after that accident not having quite the same downforce that she would have had with a healthy car, and so is struggling a bit in some of these corners, which is why it's taken her so long to catch the likes of Luis Arenas and Eric Ferreira up ahead. But she is right on the rear wing of Arenas now and should be looking to make that move any moment now. It just seems as though she is... I'm not sure if this is caution or if she really just does not have the pace to have a look up the inside at one of these corners, because this is not looking like the Raven Plumber that we've seen set drivers up in the past and just snatches a position away when she absolutely wants to.
But Chad, speaking of snatching positions, here's Eaton. He's pulling the trigger. He's trying to get past Jaden. They've made contact. He's literally pushing him down the back straight here. Eaton is tired of sitting here behind Harrison. He has seen enough of the rear wing of that Toyota Corolla. He's trying to get into the lead. He's getting those elbows out, and I think look at the time, just under 5 minutes. We have now entered the desperation zone, and it is evident as Eaton is now taking the gloves off and trying to get back past Harrison for the lead of this race. It's all happening here as Arenas is trying to hold off Plummer, who was making her way right up onto the back of his car. She has taken that P9 from him, but it's not over yet, I don't think. Arenas has shown some mighty pace here for this track car combination, so we may see him come back in very short order. All the while, Stahl now catching up to the back of Eaton. Eaton may have to focus on defense rather than offense, but let's see what happens here as they head down into one of the few braking zones on this track. The gap is closing between Eaton and Harrison, and the gap is closing between Stahl and Eaton. Stahl pulls the trigger as well, using that push to pass. It's 3/10, it's 2/10, 2.5 Can he make it work? He's closing, he's closing, he's closing. He's side by side, they're neck and neck. Stahl on the outside, Eaton on the inside. It looks as though Stahl may have it. It's not over yet, heading into the final section of corners. Eaton still has a nose in it. Gets up on the curbs, and I think that may be all she wrote for Eaton there, as Stahl does what he did in the first race, snuck up from out of nowhere and snatches that podium position.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's what Mark Anthony Eaton saw, why he started to hurry up on Jaden Harrison. Maybe saw, had a little bit of PTSD there, seeing Tim Stahl in the rearview mirrors closing him down, and thought, I need a car between myself and this man, because he seems to just be able to walk me down when he is ready to do so. And it seems Stahl has the advantage here, having gotten past Eaton, and is even looking to put a bit of pressure on Jaden Harrison for the lead of the race. That gap just hovering around the 4:10 mark, and Stahl with one push to pass left. Harrison with 3, maybe knowing that Tim Stahl was coming back at him, has saved them for just such occasions, and seems to be a little slow there through the turn 5-6 complex, maybe holding Tim Stahl up a bit. And there is the push to pass. Now Jaden Harrison will use it.
But he's still gaining, Chad. Jaden has used the push to pass. The slipstream is so strong. It seems as though Tim Stahl is still gaining on him, heading down the back straight here. He moves to the outside. Jaden's preferred overtaking spot. Can he make it work? Jaden runs a little bit wide. It's a switch back for Tim Stahl. A little bit of contact, but I think that's as clean as he's going to get it. There's more contact between them. Eaton is going to snatch that position from Harrison and tries to do the same to Stahl here, getting an excellent run. Stahl goes defensive. Both of these drivers up ahead have used their all 5 push to pass installments, and so it's going to be about raw pace here. A little bit of contact well into the desperation zone between the top 3 drivers here. Jaden just could not defend well enough from Stahl. Stahl takes the lead of this race, and Harrison is now down into 3rd. We have about 1.5 minutes plus about a lap left. Make your predictions, Chad, because it's anybody's race.
Well, the driver with the advantage at the moment is Jaden Harrison. He does have the 2 installments of the push to pass left, and we saw how strong the slipstream was down this back straight. Tim Stahl there able to hold on Jaden Harrison whilst he uses a push to pass. There goes Jaden using one now, maybe thinking about taking that position off of Eaton, knowing full well that he will only have 1 lap after this one to try and make a move on Stahl. Maybe bump drafting Eaton a bit there to try and get them both closer to Stahl for the offensive maneuver into the next braking zone. Eaton is gonna stick a nose in, but isn't quite close enough to make it happen. Jaden there backing out just a touch, maybe thinking that Eaton would have gotten them both out of position for him to try and stick a nose in as well. But Stahl holding on ever so nicely and will have 2 laps from which to defend from those 2 drivers. At the moment, here is Ferreira and Arenas battling it out for P9 and 10 respectively. What a move there, Eric Ferreira, just powering past Arenas through that section of the racetrack. He just seemed to have a different mode of carrying speed there. Jaden Harrison finally getting back past Mark Anthony Eaton. Not sure if Eaton let him through there, or that seemed very amicable between the 2 of them, knowing their previous racing experience. So there'll be 1 lap to go at the conclusion of this one, and Jaden Harrison trying to get as close as possible to Tim Stahl. 1 push to pass left. Is he gonna use it on this lap, or is he gonna save it for the next lap? We know that is the straight. Those drivers like to use that inside. He used it and is trying to close on Stahl there up ahead, while we're watching Roger Robinson battle it out with Senna Somerville for P4. Stahl and Harrison have swapped positions. Jaden Harrison making brilliant use of that push to pass to get ahead of Tim Stahl, and will now have 1 lap to which he has to defend from the German behind, who will be trying to come back at him, having lost the lead there on the penultimate lap.
Yeah, and all the while, Somerville fighting to get past Robinson. Here's the defense that you spoke of. Somerville making the car as massive as possible. He's positioning it perfectly and disallowing Rahe to get past him in the final section of the track there. But he has 1 more lap to make something happen. And, I'm reading the chat here. Steven saying that Mark would have been smart to give the place to Jay than to capitalize on the slipstream plus Jaden's push to pass. And it worked for Jaden. I don't think it worked for Mark though. But Robinson here is going to try and make something work for him. He's on the outside. The outside becomes the inside for turn 5. They come down the hill. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? It looks as though it was Robinson there, not early enough on the brakes, it seems, or perhaps just a little bit of a karting trick there from Somerville. But whatever it was, he manages to keep the place, making and stamping it down with authority, making use of that push to pass. Now he is just about a second ahead of the driver behind him, that's Rahe Robinson. But up ahead, Jaden Harrison started all the way at the back, and he's done it again. Jaden Harrison fought his way to the front and takes a victory for the 2nd time. He wins the reverse grid race. Tim Stahl comes home in P2 after leading for about 3 laps. It was an excellent defense from him, but Jaden was just absolutely relentless. Mark Anthony Eaton led majority of the laps for this race, but unfortunately, strategy not working out for him there. Or perhaps the tire is giving way once again. Senna Somerville comes home in P4 from Rahe Robinson in P5. Nothing between those 2 drivers. Nicholas Donald finishing in P6 and Mr. P6 Kimani Eastman finishing in P7. Raven Plummer, disaster for her at the start of this race, finds herself finishing in P8. Eric Ferreira and Luis Arenas, nothing between them once more. Some excellent battling between these 2 drivers, finishing in P9 and 10 respectively. Chad, this was an absolutely amazing race, and as we've come to expect, the 2nd race I think had a little bit more kick to it, a little bit more spice, a few more overtakes.
Absolutely, and a few more incidents as well, but that's what you come to expect when you switch the grid and you put the drivers with the better pace towards the back of the grid, and they have to fight their way through. Some drivers just not wanting to relinquish those positions. We saw the likes of Senna Somerville defending for his life from some of these drivers, but Jaden Harrison, Tim Stahl, and Mark Anthony Eaton gave us a show there for most of this race. Jaden Harrison with the attack on Eaton coming back at him, and then those 2 exchanging positions allowed the German Tim Stahl to get into the mix, and Tim managing to take the lead there for a few moments before Jaden Harrison was able to come back and retake that lead to take victory in both races here this evening. A brilliant evening of racing action, with Jaden Harrison coming out on top both times. Eaton managing to secure a podium here in the second race. Looked like he was on for victory in the first race. In the second race, sorry, in the first half of this race, that is, but not managing to hold on for the second half of the race with the charging Jaden Harrison and Tim Stahl taking positions off of him. But this is the racing action. Yeah, this is the consistent action you come to expect from the Caribbean touring cars and the Friday races here at the JSRA. Lots of action, a little bit of bumping, but nothing that is not expected in this kind of racing environment. Overall, a very clean, hard fought race, with the exception of a few blemishes on the race. But I'm sure the stewards will be looking into how that all unfolds. So we will be talking to some of the podium finishers here in a few moments' time, starting with Mark Anthony Eaton. So we'll see if we can get hold of him here to have a quick chat about how his race unfolded. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, P3 there in the second race, missing out on the podium only just in the first race. How did that all unfold for you?
Uh, I lacked a bit of pace there. Probably just a lack of preparation for the track. It's not my best track, but in the second race, I had a bit of contact with Seno. He opened the door and I thought it was left open and it closed, but that's his racing. But it's just once me and Jaden got out in front, we tried our best to kind of get away, but team had a lot of pace. So it was just working together, trying to get one of us to stay in front of him when we cross the finish line.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, no, we did see some of the strategy there unfolding. It seemed very amicable between yourself and Jaden. So, good teamwork there from the two of you. But congratulations nonetheless, P3. No, not a bad result. And good luck in the future events.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we should be talking to one Tim Stahl. P2 in the first race, in P3 in the first race, and P2 in the second race. Tim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, congratulations. There are a couple of podiums for you out of the events of this evening of racing action. What are your thoughts on the overall event?
Yes, thank you. The racing was amazing overall in both races. Very clean, very high level, very fast. I liked it a lot. I did make a mistake in the first race of not setting my pit limiter correctly, which caused me to get a drive through. But luckily, we got a safety car right basically after lap 1. And yeah, I managed to take my drive through and then fight all the way from the back of the pack till P3, which very nice racing, was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and kind of had the lead there for a moment towards the end, and then Jaden managed to come back at you in the last moments there. Do you think, given different circumstances, you'd have been able to hold on?
Probably yes. I did have the pace in the race overall. I somehow found it, but I got caught up in a collision of someone spinning or flipping in front of me at the start, so I lost a lot of time and I had to burn through my push to pass to catch up back to Jaden and Mark Anthony even. And that just resulted in me no defense at all in the last lap. Maybe if I had overtaken a lap later, I maybe could have managed to hold on to the lead, but like that I was just without push to pass and completely defenseless, and I just had to let Jaden go. Very, very well done to him. It was a fun battle.
Absolutely. Well, a good set of results nonetheless, and clearly some lessons learned there in the defeat. But congratulations nonetheless, Tim, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, that was Tim Stahl. Podium finishes in both races. Next, we should be talking to Raven Plummer, P2 in the first race, and a lot more trying in the second race. Raven, are you with me?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Well, a trying second race there, but we can focus on the positives. P2 in the first race, managing to hold on there from the charging cars around you. Congratulations on that. How was the event?
Thank you. The first race was pretty good. I got super lucky to get P2. Mark Anthony, I believe, was in P2 and just went a little bit wide into turn 5B. Got a bit of the curb, unsettled his car, and that let me take the position. After that, he kept fighting with Tim and didn't catch up to me, so I got to keep hold of it. So that was a good race.
Absolutely. And the second race there, I see you got caught up in a little bit of an incident with, I believe it was Ray. How did that unfold?
Yes, so it is Rohei. I just double checked. So going into turn 5B again, I believe it was, I can't remember at this point, but I had managed to find my way up to third. And the people in P1 and P2 just went too close together into that sharp right-hander and collided with each other. And of course, I saw this coming. I had to step on the brakes a little bit and go to the outside of the exit to avoid them. Rohei decided I'm just gonna hold it flat out, go through the grass, and get past everyone. And of course, that means by the time he caught up with me and on the track, we were three wide. I got collided with by Rohei, and I held my brakes best I could, but he kept pushing me just as a result of the contact. And yeah, that put me all the way in dead last. He didn't return the position either.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be having words with him about that, but again, we
I
can
tried to
focus
keep
on the
it civil
positives here. Pardon?
Oh, I tried to keep it civil here in this debrief.
Yeah, but yeah, no, still some positives to take from the event overall, but yeah, some learning experiences as well. Nonetheless, congratulations once more, Raven, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay, that was Raven Plummer P2 in the first race, but a little bit of trying in the second race. Next up, we will be talking to the winner of both races, Mr. Jaden Harrison. Jaden, are you with me?
Yeah.
Well, the first race we won't talk about because you just kind of cakewalked the victory there, but that second race looked like it had some action-packed moments. How was that race for you?
That race was pretty good. I was trying to see if I could secure the P1, P2 Jamaica lockout. So I was trying to just break up and keep Mark in the slipstream, but Tim got up to us and we just had to work together to try keep it together. And we couldn't because that straight really messes us up with the draft and everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It did look like I suspected there was some teamwork going on, but yeah, both you and Mark confirmed it, and it looked like Tim just put a spoke in the plans there, managing to get ahead in the final few laps. Yeah. Did you think there was anything you could have done differently to try and get Mark ahead of him?
Not really, because my goal on that last lap was to push the pass, go and set down a fast lap. If I tried anything else, he would have passed me on the straight, and I didn't have the tire to go around the outside.
Fair enough. Well, nonetheless, victory for you both races, so congratulations on that, and good luck going forward.
Thanks.
Okay. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews with the drivers. All of the drivers reporting great fun and lots of action on track, and I'm sure the eye test backs that up. We had battles to watch all the way through. Kale, your final thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm here trying to think about my overtake for the day, and I think it's 100% going to have to be that move that Jaden made around the outside, heading into the final couple of corners in the second race. That was quite astonishing there from Jaden, delivering on the talent that we know that he has, and providing us with some excellent racing action. And I suppose he'd take my driver of the day as well for both races, winning in excellent style, very quick driver, that young guy is, and I'm very excited to see what more he can, how more he can develop as a driver as we continue to develop the talent that we have here at the JSRA, Chad. So it's an exciting race, and it's definitely it's an excellent third spoke here in the North American Tour for the Caribbean Touring Car Challenge, and these drivers are still rearing and ready to prove who is the fastest. And I'd like to say that you can continue to watch the action unfold and support your favorite driver by following on YouTube, Twitch, and tuning in live on the SportsMax app, where you can join myself and Chad Dillon here for the action. We have many events coming up. We saw the CTCC tonight, the Chase of Pace Team Series coming up tomorrow, the WEC Mini Endurance, Porsche Cup, the Radical Series that has gone. We have exhibitions coming up, drift events, NASCAR. There's going to be something for everyone, and the official season is well underway. If you would like to get on track and join the ranks of the best sim racers in the Caribbean, feel free to message on Instagram to get started with registration. You can see it there on your screen now. Become a member today and get ultimate access to a growing community and resources to take your skills to the next level. Stay in the loop by following us on social media, on Instagram at JSRA Official. Search for us on Facebook, the Jamaica Simulation Racing Association, and watch our replays on YouTube at JSRA 876.
Absolutely. And it seems you and I had similar thinking for overtake of the day, but your move was in the second race. Mine was his move on Mark Anthony Eaton in the first race. Same place, same maneuver, same result. Jaden Harrison certainly making some spectacular moves. I will, however, give my driver of the day to Tim Stahl. Both races had to battle the odds, and you heard the Jamaicans there employing a bit of team strategy, and Tim still managing to split the two, and in the first race, made a recovery drive to end up on the podium. So he's my shout for driver of the day. But overall, a great event, and once again, thank you to our sponsors, Emmanuel Boutique and Ceramicare, for being a part of the JSRA and the continued growing movement that is simulation racing here in Jamaica. And certainly, as Kale said, lots of major events coming your way, so definitely stay tuned to all of our socials to see what events pique your interest and what events you want to be a part of. As per usual, we welcome all comers, so certainly if you are interested in getting out there on track to test your skills against the best of the best from around the Caribbean, and we are almost pretty much international at this point. You see, we have a couple of Germans on the grid there, as well as some Colombians. So it's certainly a growing community that you can be a part of. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning in with us here on this very lovely Friday evening, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the rest of your night. I have been Chad Dillon alongside Kale Vaden Roper.
Ladies and gentlemen, good night. Sorry, Chad.
Yeah, no. I was just about to hand it over to you anyway, so absolutely go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, good night.
Quite the work order.
coming up to.
Yeah,
As
man. So
there is a run.
outside. Oh yeah.
He tried the switcheroo.
Yeah.
You came and failed the test, you met the best, expected chess, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I cropped you out with no apologies. I am the hope, the heart, the fate, the spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing back. Step in the ring, about you step back. They'll learn hot when I get on the track. I like it louder the most, watching all these sheep just buy down to the goat. If I can't decide, I'ma probably get both. We done celebrate, but right now I'm a toast, resurrected.
Here is Eastman going side by side with Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison took him on the inside, but Eastman says no and closes the door. But here he is now about to lose 2 positions heading into the penultimate corner.